stepping stone, a stepping stone. They only see me as a stepping stone, a stepping stone, a stepping stone. Had to show 'em not that nigga to be
What's up, everybody? This is your boy Christopher Surratt, bringing you another episode of Black Real Estate Now. On today's episode, we're going to head up to Marion City, California, and check out a young black couple who last year decided they were going to get their home appraised. When they got the appraisal done, they found that their home had lost value almost of the upwards of $500,000. And that is a loss significant, and not only significant, but extremely more because they had the home appraised just the year before, and it was significantly more valuable the year prior. So of course this put their antennas up, and they decided that they were going to have the home appraised again, but this time they were going to whitewash it. What is whitewashing, you ask? Whitewashing is when you remove all things in the home that show that a person of color lives there. And then on top of that, they had a friend of the Caucasian persuasion show the home to the appraisers this time around. Upon this appraisal, the house came back almost $500,000 more in value. So they sued. Last week, they won that lawsuit. Monetary damage was not disclosed, but I know they did get a nice chunk of change. So that is a good thing, because we have to continue to fight redlining all over the place, and this is just a continuous part of it. So today we are going to review a interview of the young couple that CBS Morning News did, and check out what they have to say about the whole situation. So let's check it out.
Welcome back to CBS Mornings. A racial discrimination lawsuit in Northern California highlights an issue that many African Americans have complained about for decades. Home values set too low when the owners are black. Tanisha Tate Austin and her husband Paul say a white woman who appraised their home set its value at less than $1 million. So they ran an experiment. If they had a white friend stand in as the homeowner, would that raise that number? Anna Werner shows what they found.
This was completely different.
Paul and Tanisha Tate Austin have been remodeling and improving their Marin City home ever since they bought it 5 years ago.
So you open this up,
Open this
whole
up.
thing here.
Yeah. Gutted the entire kitchen.
So when mortgage rates were low in early 2020, they jumped at the chance to refinance, something they had done in 2019 to take advantage of the home's higher value, generating more cash for additional improvements. That year, it appraised at over $1.4 million, but now, a year later, just $995,000.
And when it came in so low, we both were like, oh, this is wrong.
And so the impact of that number for you was what?
Significant. I mean, it's the financial impact, but it's the emotional impact. It's the feeling every day, like the tax of being African American in this country. Like, you don't know. It's a coin toss. You're not for sure what's going to happen.
That is a good point. I always keep talking about it, the tax of being black, and you just never know when you're going to pay it. A lot of us are not in the victim mentality, so we don't really care or try to worry about what others think, but there are a lot of people out there that people's biases against them could affect them a lot. Financially, like in this situation, housing, employment, there's all types of things or situations where a black tax could hurt a person of color. And the hope is that we've come a lot farther in the world, that we'll get to the point where there are no black taxes levied on people of color. But let's face it, it still happens, and we still have to fight against it. So let's continue.
So for a second appraisal, they decided to do something they felt would get them a better number for sure, with the help of a friend named Jan.
You said, let's do what?
So I just said to Jan, I was like, we had a low appraisal. Will you be me? She's like, of course, I'll come over.
And the thing to know about Jan is?
She's white.
With Jan now playing homeowner, they cleared away their own photos and art.
We had to take down everything.
Yeah.
Like all of our art that you see around our homes, pictures, anything that's essentially resemble that this home belongs to a black family.
It's like anything that was reminiscent of you and what you care about.
Yes.
You had to take down.
Yeah.
Yes.
After what they call their whitewash, the new appraisal came in, nearly $1.5 million, close to $500,000 more than the appraisal roughly a month before.
You feel a sense of relief, like I told you, but then you feel a sense of sadness, like, oh my goodness, like I can't believe that it appraised for. We had to do what we had to do in order to have our house appraised for what it should have appraised for from the start.
It's messed.
It's just, it's just sad that they had to do it. It's just sad that in the world we live in, you still have to do this. But of course, that's where, the importance of working with people with good character, good vetting of the people that you're working with, research about who they are, and try to understand how they think. It's not fail-proof, because people can lie, people can put on a mask, but you have to do as much as you can possibly to vet people that you're doing business with, because just try your best to avoid situations like this. Let's continue.
Right? Like we shouldn't have to, I mean, you might as well say it's heartbreaking.
And they say it proves the first appraisal took race and historical demographics into account in violation of the Fair Housing Act. They're now suing the appraiser, who is white, claiming she used unsuitable, racially biased comparable home sales or comps in determining their home's worth, giving it a low market value. They're not the only ones whitewashing their homes to find out if they'll get a better appraisal. Black families in Indiana and Ohio did the same with similar results. A recent study finds homes in the nation's black neighborhoods are often undervalued by an average of $48,000.
And that's, one of the real horrible things about this is that, the Austins probably would, if it would have came back, $15,000, $20,000 lower, that's not, you don't really bat an eye at that. But theirs came back $500,000 lower, which, of course, is going to raise anybody's eyebrow. But there are people all across the world who this is happening to, and it's just happening in smaller increments. 10,000 here, 20,000 there, 50,000. And this is very important, specifically in black neighborhoods where we're all trying our best to get our generational wealth built up. And when this happens, it just puts you behind the 8 ball. So let's continue.
It left me just with a realization that America hasn't, gotten as far as it may think it has when it relates to race.
CBS News reached out to the appraiser and the company for comment, but have not heard back.
We really want people to understand that the practices of the appraisal system perpetuates black people, people of color, from being able to build wealth in our communities, and that has to stop.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Anna Werner in Marin City, California.
I think he said it best when he said that's messed up. Here we are in 2021, and this is still an issue.
Yeah.
2023, and it's still an issue. They just won this court case, a week ago? And this happened at the end of 2021. And it's sad that people of color are still dealing with this, but people are going to deal with biases all across the world. Racism still exists. We know it does. It's more of a bias now than ever, but it's still there, and people will still feel a certain way. So it just makes it so much more extremely important for you to get to know the people you do business with. Vet them the best way possible. Try to understand them as best you can, because this is pretty much the only way that you can avoid these types of things happening to you, by trying to know the people that you work with. And it's hard. It's not going to be easy. It's You know, people are gonna stab you in the back. That's the big thing with all these talking points about women and all that kind of thing. But you know, people are people. People are individuals. You know, and they still tend to do certain things that are not on the up and up.